So on this week's episode of Cheap Gear, we have the Casiotone CT-S1. This is the very first or first brand new keyboard we're going to review on this episode of Cheap Gear. This keyboard comes in at 61 keys. It has about 70 sounds on it. The sounds are high quality. We're going to talk about the pros, the cons of the keyboard. It comes in 3 colors. We got white here, but it also comes in red and black. We're just going to get into what you can use this keyboard for, what it would be good for, and some of the things, some of the gripes and everything else that we kind of had as we were playing on this. But if you like this, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and we'll get into it. All right, so we're at the back of the keyboard. We're going to discuss a few things, which is the major issue that we have with the keyboard. First, we have the fact that this keyboard doesn't have a lot of connectivity to it. You know, you have the sustain port here, audio in, so you can play songs through the keyboard, audio out that you can bring, the sound out of the keyboard. It's 3.5 millimeters. Why not a quarter drive? We don't know. This is the power cord adapter. Now you can actually run this keyboard on batteries, which you do from time to time if you don't feel like plugging it in. And then you have the USB to host and micro USB. The connectivity issue with the keyboard is, first, why don't we have quarter outs on it? The second issue we have with connectivity is everything else. This is a Akai MPD 218. It has USB B MIDI, the one that uses the print cable. The blue keyboard we have over here, same thing. And even this cheap keyboard we have from Amazon, this MIDI Plus, still has USB MIDI plugs on it. So how are these older keyboards, including the old Casios, using USB B, the print cable MIDI, and here we got USB micro? I don't know why they did that, which means that it does take Bluetooth. It does take a Bluetooth MIDI adapter. The adapter is $70. The good thing about the adapter is it works with the other keyboards. But if it's one thing that I'm going to say is the main gripe about the keyboard is the 3.5 millimeter out is not good, when you're trying to set up gigs and stuff like that. It forces you to buy another cable with the cable like this with the 3.5 to quarter-inch adapter already built into it, or you have to get an adapter. And when you're starting to run sounds with these cables attached and with adapters, it does affect the way that it sounds. You do get some feedback on it, which is a shame because the keyboard really sounds good, and that's one of the very few drawbacks that we have with the keyboard. another drawback to the Casio, and I don't want to try to play it, because when you start playing it, then you realize that a lot of the sounds that you are using on the keyboard, if you're trying to split sounds and do layers, then of course you got to use the function button. And using the function button on this keyboard, you have to open the manual to do it. Now, there are apps that work with the keyboard, which of course you have to plug it into an adapter to use them. And then the sounds that do have pads that are on them are not consistent. So if you play like one note at a time, they may not trigger. And if you play like 2 or 3 notes, it triggers. But it's very funny on how it operates. So you really have to be careful. My cat is like trying to see what I'm doing with all these wires and stuff around. But you really, if you're looking for a keyboard to do a bunch of stuff with, as far as like splitting layers and doing all that, this is not the keyboard for you, you know, because once again, you have to hit the function button. You have to figure out which key goes to which function. None of the keys have labels on them. So it forces you to open up and dig into the manual or try to do some kind of Cortana app or something like that to work it. Which, once again, if you're just trying to turn the keyboard on and play, you don't want to have to go through all that. And also, for a keyboard in this price range, you're not getting any beats or not getting any rhythms or drum rhythms or anything like that. This is pretty much like a digital piano in a keyboard package. So what you get is some higher quality sounds. And the higher quality sounds are really good. You know, if I could say, with all the gripes that I've given you, I've fallen in love with this thing. Like, this thing stays in the bedroom. This is something I play on before I go to bed at night. And I like taking this out because, once again, it has its own speakers. I don't have to bring a set of monitors. So if I'm doing a rehearsal in a small house or a hotel room or something like that, this will do the trick, especially if I'm going on a flight where I can't take another bag with me. I could throw this in my keyboard bag and I'm good, you know, and that's cuts down on a lot of stuff there. The other gripe that I was having was that the speakers aren't loud enough, but if you hit the surround button, it kind of adjusts to, it depends on what size room you're in. For some reason, if I'm in a small room, I want more volume. But if I'm in a big room, it sounds just fine, which I don't know how they accomplished that or how that became an issue. But when I say the sounds on this keyboard, especially the electric pianos, especially the regular pianos, especially the regular piano, the first sound, and the vintage piano, I play on these things all the time, man. If I start playing this thing, you got a half hour of me playing this before I try to go to bed or before I do anything else, because it just sounds that good. And for a keyboard that doesn't have any weights on the keys or anything else like that, the textures and the action on it is really good. So if you are getting started or you just want something to just play on, just for the joy of playing regular piano, regular sounds. I also play with the guitar on here a little bit too, just to make sure that, you know, if I'm writing something new or if I'm trying something new that it sounds good, the strings are okay. But pretty much the piano, the electric pianos, the vibraphone, and the guitar are my favorite sounds on this thing. And you'd be hard pressed to find a better sounding piano on a keyboard at this price. So, you know, and with Bluetooth MIDI, you can run, you know, from your iPhone, you can run from an iPad, and, you know, it's basically, to me, it's basically a scaled down Casio Privia, you know, because it sounds almost as good as the Privia does, you know, and for $200, you can't really beat that, you know. But other than that, I'm going to do some separate videos so that we can do more shorter form videos of more of us just playing the keyboard, because I really like playing it. I'm not the, I like to say I'm not the best. There are some other people that have videos out that are, you know, truly next levels ahead above me. I just like playing on the keyboard. And if you like the channel, then of course I want to make sure that we're giving you some content where you can actually see this thing in action. Any questions, comments, concerns, please leave a comment. Please leave a like if you like the video. I'm open to any feedback. This is another episode. We have a few more coming up. We're going to review a few other pieces of gear that we have. Thank you for listening and watching us and supporting us, and you have a great night.